Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to my channel. Today's our topic is India has been isolated in Asia? Today I will tell you how India is lonely in Asia region. First of all, we should know that Pakistan and India relations are always not good. They are so near to the nuclear war. If you remember, 27 Feb 2019, there is a watchdog between two countries' fighter jets, and by which Pakistan and India trade have been stopped and degraded their diplomatic relations. Therefore, we should know about the India and China relations. Then, after 1962 war, India first time conflict with China, not conflict but also this time India 20 soldier and also officer also has been killed in the conflict and funding problem. First, we will discuss about the China-India conflict and as India can finish their trade with China. With India trade deficit is at high and loss for India economy. First of all, what should have happened? Why 20 people has been killed in the clash? At least 20 people have died in clash between India and China troops along the disputed Himalayan border running along the Ladakh area of Kashmir. It is the first fatal clash since 1975 and the most serious in 1967. Fighting broke out on Monday evening when an Indian patrol came across the China forces on a narrow ridge. During the confrontation, an Indian commanding officer was pushed and fell into the river. Then hundreds of troops from both sides were called in the fort with the rocks and clubs. Several fell to their death. Indian army said to the casualty on both sides confirmed 3 of its soldiers were killed during the clashes with another 17 later succumbing to injuries. Beijing has refused to confirm any death on its side but accused India of crossing border twice and provoking and attacking the Chinese personnel. Then we should know that first of all we should know about what is the line of action control. Line of action control is a rough demarcation line separated India controlled territory from Chinese controlled territory. The exact location of sections of the line, particularly in West Ladakh region, have remained in dispute. Efforts between two countries to clarify the LAC has stalled in past 2 decades, according to Indian media. And then, what is the tension between in this period? Tension have escalated since last April when China sent thousands of troops to Indian disputed territory along the line of action control, bringing artillery and vehicles. Analysts say that the China's government, which has been more assertive in the building of infrastructure in the area, is anxious to frustrate any effort by the India to upgrade military installation. The refusal to leave the disputed area, including the Galwan Valley inside the Indian territory, has triggered shouting matches, stone throwing away. First fight in the keyboard area last month, there was a passive brawl between patrol but not weapons. Earlier this month, senior military leaders from both sides met and made a commitment to disengagement. What is the history of the dispute? We should know the history of the dispute of the LAC and the Indian-China war. India and China fought a war in 1962 over the contested border in the Himalayas. The war ended in a truce of the formation of de facto boundary known as line of action control. No official boundary has been negotiated in that region where the clashes around the hostile terrain at the running through the Ladakh region boundary Tibet, home to the Buddhist majority population. It is a popular tourist destination. What do the sides want? Both countries have sent to establish their claims to territory by heavily militarization the region. Both have to build roads, airstrips, outpost stations, and other infrastructure such as telephone lines. Troops conduct regular patrol along the disputed border. China claims more than 90,000 square kilometers in the eastern Himalaya and another 38,000 square kilometers in the west, both of which are disputed by India. Then India, in response of the killing 20 soldiers, India banned 59 Chinese apps, including TikTok, Hello, WeChat, Juicy browser. You can see the 59 apps which are showing on the screen, which but China has also the plenty of leverage if it chooses to retaliate for India app ban. It has long critical trade partner for India. For April 2019 to March 2020, India bought 65 billion worth of goods from the China, accounting for nearly 14% of total import, according to the India government data. Meanwhile, China bought only 16.6 billion worth of the goods from the India. China was India's second largest trading partner. For that, behind the United States of America, many industries in India, including electronics, pharmaceutical, IT, hardware, and heavily dependent on imports, and particularly from the China. Investment from China has poured into the Indian startups, which are maybe pay time and the other are manufacturing, but it was already becoming a point of contention. In April, the Indian government announced the foreign direct investment from the country. Next, we will go to the Nepal relation with the India. Nepal is very friendly nation of the India, an evergreen friend of the India. But after the Oli government in these days, their enemy and make a checkpost on the border. There is also conflict of land within Nepal of a Lipul Lake. Nepal has protested against the India inauguration of the Himalaya Link Road built in the disputed territory, which falls at strategic three-way junction with Tibet and China. India Minister of Defense Rajnath Singh on Friday inaugurated 80-kilometer, 15-mile Lipolik Road, which will serve the shortest route between the capital of New Delhi and Kailash Mansarovar. The link via Lipolik Lake Himalaya Pass is also considered one of the shortest and feasible trade routes for India and China. Nepal views and alleges the incursion and the stark example of the bullying by its larger neighbor. Nepal Foreign Minister condemned India's unilateral act that runs against to understand the reaching between two countries, and the solution to the boundary issue would be sought through. The government of Nepal has learned with the regret about the inauguration yesterday by the India of Link Road connecting to the Lipul Lake, which is passing through the Nepali territory. Nepal Minister of Foreign Affairs said in the statement on Saturday, it asked New Delhi to refrain from carrying out activity on the road that was triggered by the fresh dispute over the structurally important territory. What are the lack of map published by the Nepal? The Lipul Lake is claimed by the Nepal based on 1816, the city of Sukhali. It entered with the British colonial ruler, defined its western border with India. Kathmandu also claims the high strategic area of the Lipul Lake and the Kalapani. Although the Indian troops may have been deployed there since New Delhi fought a war with China in 1962, Lok Raj Bharal's former Nepal diplomat explained that according to the Treaty of the Sukhali, Kali River was agreed and the demarcation of the line boundary between India and Nepal, but there are two theories of origin of Kali River, which created the scope for different interpretation for the two neighbor. He said, Kathmandu claimed that the river originating Lipul Lake as the western border, but New Delhi asserts that the river which acts as a boundary emerged from the Lipul Lake. Nepal said that the river considered as the border tributary to main mentioned in the 1860 treaty. Then the Nepal bans all the Indian channels except 2 or 3 channels. Nepal cable satellite television providers have stopped airing the Indian news channel, which when one operating there on the Friday that the response to the public complaint against the objectionable content broadcast about the Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli of Nepal. Then we should discuss about how Iran kicked out India from the deal of the Chabahar railway track. Very important track for the India to trade between the Afghanistan and Iran of this Chabahar port. The India dropped from the Chabhar railway project because absence of the active India engagement. The delay also indicated of the possible impact of the US sanctions on the India project with Iran through the India squared the assumption of the Chabhar port from the US sanctioned bilateral ties with India look a hit in February after the riots in Delhi drew condemnation from the Irani Foreign Minister Javad Zarif. The part from the India-Iran energy trade was hit when the India shut energy import from Iran because of the threat of the US sanctions, which also affect the icon Iranian rail minister MRU construction of the Chabhar railway project. China and Iran are reportedly to have quietly drafted a comprehensive military trade partnership. Reports of the New York Times, which has been published yesterday, the deal would make up for the about $400 million worth of China investment into Iran key sectors such as energy infrastructure for over 25 years. It talks about the China presence in Iran, banking, expanding the telecommunication, port, railway, and other projects. In return, Iran is regular to and heavily discounted supply of oil for 25 years. In strategic alarm, the proposed draft talks about dependent military cooperation, which is joint training exercise, joint research and weapon development, and intelligence sharing. This deeply military cooperation would be intended to fight the loop side battle with terrorism, drug and the human flickling and cross-border crimes. The deal is reported to have been proposed by the President Xi Jinping during the 2016 visit to Tehran, and proposed draft was approved by the Iranian President Hassan Rouhani and the Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif over the last couple of years. I hope you understand how the India is isolated in the Asia